Konnichiwa.
Freddie's son, Burnsy's in Japan. Time for me to go and see what life's like in Japan. Freddie's son, Burnsy's in Japan. So come on, let's go see what Burnsy's up to in Japan.
Aloha, Freddie Burns.
Aloha.
How are you?
Good, mate.
So, Fred, last time we spoke, you were in Japan. Now, and I know this because I've been following your Instagram, and it takes me all day to get through every single story and post. You're in Hawaii. Aloha, no longer konnichiwa. Why, how, where, and surely you ain't coming back to Leicester.
Mate, I'm coming back. I'm having I'm having a hell of a time. Look at me, I'm wearing stupid hats. I've made friends, mate, they're looking after me. But yeah, basically, Japan and Hawaii have a no quarantine agreement with a negative COVID test. So I thought I'd have 2 weeks. And then I'll be honest with you, Jim, I had a few beers the other night. I cancelled my flights that were due on the 12th of May, rebooked them for the 3rd of June. And then when I woke up next morning, I booked it for the 3rd of June, which is great. But I also realised I didn't book the flexible flights. So now I was suddenly thought, shit, I'm nailed in to stay here for another 3 and a bit weeks. So I moved hotel, mates. I've come to a slightly cheaper hotel just to save the old wallet.
How good is Hawaii?
It's lush, Jim. That's the best way. It's like lush. I never knew there was so many shades of green, Jim. It's fascinating.
Well, tropical.
yeah.
They get tropical weather there, don't they? I saw the cloud coming over on one of your Instagram posts.
Yeah, but Jim, so you get you might get a little bit of rain or whatever, but you get it's 27 degrees. There's no dangerous animals, so you go on hikes. You're not
No. There is dangerous animals. There's sharks in the sea, Fred, and you've been surfing with them. There was 2 shark attacks last week or something.
The day I swam with them, there was 2 shark attacks in the North Shore, which is where I swam with them.
Well, how can you say that there's no dangerous animals? If there's sharks that are eating people, did they eat them or did they survive or what?
Don't go in the water, Jim. Don't go in the water.
Well, you were in the water.
I decided to go, Jim, honestly, I went to go swim with them. And first, I didn't think through a snorkel with Bell's palsy. So when I first got in the water, obviously this bit of my lip is still pretty weak from Bell's palsy. So I'm trying to breathe, just sucking in salt water, panicking. And there's a predator underneath me, Jim. And I'm there splashing on the surface, trying to get air because I can't breathe. But, mate, that experience was terrifying. But quite a nice experience, but terrifying.
But did you meet the love of your life on a surfboard? You've met someone while this is the story, right? Whether you shake or nod or agree, or we can get onto the story. You know, if this lady that you met on the surfboard turns out to be your wife or, fiance or whatever, or even just life partner, you met on a surfboard, potentially the love of your life. Congratulations.
Right, Jim, can I just say, I've met about 20 love of my lives on a surfboard where I'm at in Waikiki, right? I've made friends with, I met this lovely girl called Kelsey who's got me involved. Mate, she's a legend. She's helped me out. She edits all my photos as well, mate. She's the one who puts the filters on because she's got a travel Instagram. So
you trust her enough to give her your phone as well. This is love, Fred.
No. I send her the picture and she puts a nice filter on it and then sends it back. Mate, but she's got me well involved. But Jim, on the love of my life, right? So I took a surf lesson in Waikiki, right, with this guy, man. I was like, yeah, man. How do you say it? Aloha and all this sort of stuff. Man, like this. And I was quite good. And the next day, he was like, mate, you don't need me now. Go out on your own. So I picked up a board, went out on the surf, and I got out there. And I tell you now, mate, there was this beautiful blonde, right? Mate, I'll be honest with you, you get kids, you get old women, you get old men, you get fat men, all this. They're brilliant on the surfboard. It's great to watch. But anyway, I'm out there and I didn't really have the confidence to do the old straddle. You know when they just straddle the board in the sea, they just sit on the board.
I've seen it. They look cool as anything. They look cool as shit when they do it, but I've not done it myself.
So I'm out there and I'm like, right, if there's 80 people could do it, I'm going to do it. So I've straddled the board, right? Anyway, along has come this blonde girl, literally right next to me, and I just turned around and said, "Oh, you're right," sort of thing. Just obviously trying to use the accent to sort of strike up a conversation. And we had a bit of a conversation. "Oh, I'm Freddie." I said, "What's your name?" And she said Bella. And I went across to give her the knuckles, Jim. Right? But obviously, as I've stretched out to give knuckles, I've fallen off the board, fallen into the water, right? But I like all these cool dudes here, like the long hair, come out like looking like a Greek god. I come out.
You've lost an arm. You've lost an arm.
Mate, literally snot's coming down my nose like that. And there's me having a fight trying to get back on this surfboard. Mate, I was like, Jesus, like this ain't, like, I might find the love of my life, but they just look at me and think, what a plonker.
And how was Kelsey with that? How was Kelsey that you met another woman, Bella, in the water? She's jealous or not?
No. Mate, Kelsey's just a very good friend, mate. She's a legend. And one thing I'm thankful for, she's looked after me well, mate. Like, it was my birthday the other day, and her and her friend Alexis arranged for like a private chef to come to their house and cook dinner that had been fished, hunted, or foraged for on the island. But the only thing is, right, with her is she's great, right? But she's always like, oh, can my friends go out with us? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm thinking, here we go. So I mean, a few nice female friends. Every time she brings a friend, they're always gauging. And like, they're great people. I have a great time. But
there's nothing in it for you.
Nah, just you know what I mean? There's no, just a couple of females would be lovely.
Well, maybe a bit of advice is I wouldn't wear that hat next time that you go. As much as I like it, and you know, I'm very progressive and obviously like a decent. There we go, Fred. There we go.
There we go. Now I'm serious, mate.
You are. Now let's talk a bit about serious ruggers. How did you leave Japan? Obviously, I followed the story, but for the millions of people watching in this, they might not have seen how it all ended. Give us a snapshot, really, of your time in Japan and how it ended up, and have you left the place in a better place than when you turned up?
I'd like to think so, Jim. I'll be honest with you. Now I look back on it, it was unbelievable. Like, you know, when you're in it a bit, you know what it's like. You're always, it's probably much like careers and stuff. Like you like to pick the negative and everything. But actually, when it ends, you're like, when I was saying bye to the boys, it's actually quite emotional, mate. So I had a very, very nice send off. We obviously, since we last spoke, we beat Kintetsu in the Challenge League sort of final, you would say. Got given a bag of rice.
Craig Cooper, Will Genya's team.
Yeah. And the good thing was, mate, is obviously they're a good team and they've been the dominant force in this league for a while. So we beat them quite convincingly. Like, the boys were on fire. And it was a great contest, but it was nice to just go out there and I know that was the one that the Japanese boys wanted quite a lot, because Kintetsu, rightly so, have been like probably the strongest team in that Challenge League for a while now. So we beat them, which was great. We got given a bag of rice for winning.
What do you mean?
Generally, the captain got given a big bag of rice.
Gold rice?
I don't know, mate. Like, they couldn't really. I think it's probably sushi rice or something. We finished the game, and obviously after a game, you always bow to the crowd and that, and to your company guys and all that sort of stuff. And we did that, and next night out comes a trolley with a bag of rice, and this bloke lugs it up and gives it to him. But so we got a bag of rice for that, and then we had to play NEC Green Rockets, which was the our first shot at like top league opposition. And to be honest with you, Jim, absolutely hammered down the day of the game. Obviously, it was Alex Good's team. It was a pretty poor game, like, all round, just because it was like it literally rained non-stop. But yeah, we just got picked. Goody kicked the penalty with about 5 minutes to go, and I think we lost, I want to say 26-25 or 25-24, just 1 point. So, mate, it was pretty gutty, because we felt like we could have and probably should have won the game. But yeah, that was it then, mate. And then suddenly it was all over. It's so weird out here, Jim, because, you know, in the Premiership, you play so many games that come the end of the season, you are like, I am done. Like, get me on a beach or get my feet up. Whereas here, it was like 9 games all in, Jim. Like, it finished and you kind of think, Jesus, like, that's it. Like, I'm done. So then you had to go through packing your apartment. The club wanted to keep us till the 14th of May.
Who's
for
us?
The foreign boys. For the end of season party. Jim, get this right. The end of season like party is more of a meeting because of COVID. The end of season meeting was May the 14th, right? The company boys started back training pre-season May 10th. Go explain that one, Jim.
Well, I looked at a lot of stuff. I can't explain it. So what did you do then? Because I saw something on Instagram Live, which was the end of season meeting or greeting or meet up or farewell Swan Song.
Yeah, the foreign boys had a bit of a get-together at Sauce's house, mate, which I don't know why, Jim. Like, you know, when you do things, you just afterwards you think, what am I doing? I decided just to Instagram Live, just being on the piss for 2-3 hours. Mate, it was a great night, but I just, you just do things, Jim. You know, it's I don't live with regret, Jim, but I wish I did some things differently.
It's building a brand as well, Freddie. Building a brand. I'm sure I saw your followers got by about 400-500 off the back of that Instagram Live. I missed it because I think I was in bed when you were doing it. But I think the general consensus is, and anyone who's followed you online, but obviously we've spoke to you on Freddie San, is you've embraced the whole experience, right? So it's not an easy place to go and play. You know, there's a lot of cultural differences when you go to France, but there's extreme cultural differences when you go to Japan. When you look at it and your best memories, 9 games, 8 wins, 8 tries personally for yourself. And you mentioned then it was one of them where, yeah, there's a load of things, a load of shit there where you could moan about it, but probably too soon to talk about your best memories. But what are you missing? So you're obviously in Hawaii now, but when you're back in Leicester, what do you think you'll be miss about Japan?
It's hard. The hardest thing I found leaving especially was the fact that, all right, you can't communicate freely with the Japanese boys. You can have sort of brief conversation, basically ask them how they are, etc. But like, until you leave, you never really realise the sort of impact that you've kind of had on each other. You know what rugby's like, because it's such a sort of gladiatorial sport. You're like automatically, the minute you take the field with boys and you put your body on the line, there's like that connection. So I kind of miss that more than anything, mate. Just like the being well out of your comfort zone and having to like adapt. Like, I relied a lot on the foreign boys. You know, I said this to Levi Amua, our centre. Like, we had to, me and him, you know what I'm like, Jim, I like to take the piss when I'm training and stuff and have a bit of a laugh. But you've got Japanese boys who don't understand. So, like, it'd be quite easy for the unit sessions, particularly, to be pretty flat. And just because, like, whereas me and Levi sort of used to give each other banter, we always made sure that we were on different teams if we were doing touch games or any kind of games, and just tried to sort of like rinse each other to get a bit of energy and stuff like that. So I'll miss that kind of thing, mate. But I think there's a time in your life, mate, where it's like, you know, what, in the middle of a global pandemic, to be able to go to a country like Japan and have the experience that I had, all right, a vastly different one. It's just something that I think has just grown me so much as a person. So put it this way, Jim, I would never be in Hawaii on my own if it wouldn't have been for the experience that I had in Japan, if that makes sense. Will
you go back, do you think? I know that you're going to Leicester. We'll talk about that. Can you see yourself headed back there at any point?
You know what, Jim? I can. I'll be honest with you, purely because the fact at the minute that physically it's not that taxing. That's the main reason, Jim. So it's kind of one of those. I feel like, no, let's not beat around the bush. The money's good. You can play out there for a while. So no, I could definitely see myself going back, and I'd like to think that I made enough of a mark in especially with shuttles to that might be an option open, mate. Because I had the vice president of the company take me for lunch, Jim.
And how was that? Can he speak English? Did he speak English to you?
Yeah, mate, he can actually. Mate, what a legend. So I've met him at his...
Let's name drop him. What's his name?
Jim, don't do this to me, Jim. Mr. Wait, Jim, Freddie, cut. Oh, hang on, no, I got it here. Let me... Shit. Mr. Oh, he's called Mr. something. Mr... I know it. He gave me a book at Jim. He gave me a toy and everything.
Come on, you need to hit us with it. We need to name drop him, mate. He might watch this. He probably will. I know someone sent me it with my name in it, and basically they said I was a comedian interviewing Freddie Burns.
Mr. Sasaki.
Of course it is.
Yeah, Mr. Sasaki. Like, honestly, so I got a text the day before. Bearing in mind, like, I'm trying to pack up my apartment, which was a nightmare, Jim. I'm like trying to ship stuff back to England, like as in clothes and stuff, because I knew I was coming to Hawaii and all that kind of stuff. And I get a text saying, "Oh, can you come tomorrow? Like, wear something smart," like from the general manager. So I've got across to the boardroom, met Mr. Sasaki, sat in the boardroom. The waitress is little, not waitress, like his little receptionist comes in, puts a green tea down in front of me. And obviously in Japan, mate, like I just don't want to like offend anyone. Mate, I hate tea. right, including green tea. So I'm there like swigging down this green tea, mate, just getting through it. And then he's like, "Oh, do you want to go for lunch?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all right." So, mate, we've walked out the building. Straight away, there's this big black car, blacked out windows. The blooming side door slides open. There's 2 big comfy seats. Me and him get in the back, get driven to lunch. Bear in mind, this is now about midday, probably bang on midday.
And what are you wearing? Like, so you said smart. What are you wearing though? I need to visualise how you're looking in this black car.
Smart casual. So I went smart casual, so I just had jeans and a black shirt.
Sweat control, smart.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And anyway, he took me to the place where they cook in front of you, right? And he turned around to me. He's like, "Oh, do you want a beer?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll have a beer, right?" Yeah. So the beers come out, right? I've literally had a swig of mine. His is gone. And then he's looking at me, he's like, "Do you want a wine?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all right, I'll have a wine." Generally, I had a swig of my wine. His wine's gone. He's like, "Do you want another wine?" And I'm like, "Mate, it's like, we've been here 10 minutes. He was smashing me, mate. Mate, honestly, absolute legend. But yeah, no, so mate, that was nice. Like they sort of made me feel like sort of thanked me for my contribution and stuff like that, which mate is always nice to hear. They didn't have to. And then just an emotional send off in that, mate, from the lads. So yeah, I don't know what the question was, Jim, but Mr. Sasaki is a legend.
The fact that would you go back there, and I think we've segued onto that. Let's just talk about before you came home. Most people leave when there's a state of emergency. In Tokyo, there was declared state of emergency. Freddie, the Montpellier monster, has headed to where the drama is. And obviously we know it's a different state of emergency to do with COVID or whatever, but you had your final supper. Did I see with the Karevi family? Is that right? How have you ended up with the Karevi family on your last night in Japan?
Yeah, mate. Well, firstly, I had to be in Tokyo because obviously you have to have the COVID test, and then you got 72 hours to fly afterwards. So I was like, right, I'll go do a few days in Tokyo. And like the state of emergency in Japan, mate, right? So they just they basically just ask restaurants to close earlier. That's pretty much it. There's not like the Japanese are so compliant, mate, they don't really have to put in rules. They're just like, please, can you close early? And places will just close early, mate, or do whatever. So I caught up with Lockie McCaffrey, good mate of mine. Went and seen him and his family, which was nice. And then yeah, final night. So Josh Karevi plays at Shockey with me. Sammy's brother, Johnny, the younger brother. He had a trial. He's still in. I don't know how it works over here, but he's still at like uni. So he had a trial with us. And then yeah, Sam, he's injured, but he came along as well as Selena, who's Josh's wife, who's an absolute legend. So yeah, mate, they took me out for dinner on my last night. Mate, what a family! Like they've had, they sadly lost their mum a few months ago, and obviously all the family are over here, and there was no flights back home for them. So been a tough year for them, mate. But like people like Josh, especially for me, as like an English speaking guy who can speak Japanese as well. Like if I've had any issues in that, I've always just reached out, and him and his wife Selena have just helped me out no end. So it was a real nice end to the experience, mate. Sitting down with a class family like those lot and just having a good feed.
Let's just chat about Leicester then, because probably Steve Borthwick has been following Freddie Burns and Montpellier Monster on Instagram, and what I think he's thinking is this bloke's ready, right? This bloke is ready to get back to Leicester and take the Prem by storm. Obviously, it's tongue-in-cheek. We know that you will be ready. There's a large part of the season, but to go for Leicester, who actually, I don't know how much you've seen them, Fred, mate, they have turned a corner. Basically, they've got those South Africans that are playing well for them, but they've turned a corner. But have you heard anything from Borthers? Have they found you a house there? I know you know Leicester really well, but has there been any chat there? I know there's been a few changes at that club.
No, not really heard too much, mate. I think, in terms of houses and that, mate, I've always been wanting to sort that stuff out myself. So I'll try and figure it all out. But there's the thing, Jim, is I spoke to TC, good old Teresa, who sorts everything out, and she said that the start date's not till sort of July. So I was kind of like, mate, I'm going to be in the trenches, mate. You know what it's like? You're going to be in the trenches for 11 months of the year next year. So I thought, you know what, like, I'm out here. Why not make the most? And as much as my Instagram stories obviously had a laugh, and it was my birthday last week, so there's a few stories of me on the beer and that. Mate, I'm out here, Jim. I wake up 7 o'clock every morning. I'm out surfing for a couple of hours.
Listen listen. I love it. Yeah, just out there, just doing my thing. I'm surfing, dude.
Man, I wake up. This is it. It was like, what's my choice? My choice is to go back to England, where I hear the weather is terrible, right, and spend 2 months in England trying to like get motivated to get to the gym and do what I have to do in terrible conditions. Or stay out here in the sun, mate. Tuesday and Thursdays, I go Hawaii Harlequins. There's a rugby team on the island. That's about 15 minutes away.
Give us a little bit of insight into that. I know we're segueing away from this Leicester thing. We can maybe just finish on that at the end. But so what's the rugby like there? I saw you down at the local rugby club. It looked class. They look engaged. I mean, they must have been loving having you there as well.
Yeah, so first things, last Monday I had a text, I had a direct message from Kahuku Rugby Club, which is up on the North Shore. So it's about an hour and quarter drive away. And they just said the girls are playing a game up here and the boys are playing afterwards. Would you come up and watch? I was like, yeah, 100%. So I got in the car, drove up. Their girls' teammate was unbelievable. They played a team called the Mustangs from San Diego. And to see like 2 sets of girls, mate, in a place like Hawaii going at it, like, was just good, because rugby's not big in America, full stop, let alone in Hawaii, which is out on its own. And then to see like young girls doing it was class, mate. And then Jimmy said, "Oh, will you play with the lads after?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I went and bought myself some cleats, Jim. Bought myself some cleats, man.
What cleats?
I went into the shop. Boots, mate. I didn't know. I said, "Oh, mate, do you sell football boots?" And he's like, "What do you mean, man?" And I'm like boots, like with studs on the bottom. He's like, "You mean cleats, dude?" And I'm like, yeah, cleats, man.
I thought cleats were cowboy boots.
Yeah. But I was like, so I got myself some boots. And then I'm out with the boys, and the coach Mike comes up to me. He's like, "You're right to play 10." And I'm like, just sort of laughing, thinking, "Yeah, mate, yeah, all right." Mate, out come this team, BYU or something, they're called. Out they came, right? They took the kick off. I caught the ball. One of them absolutely melted me, mate. It was full go, Jim. I thought it was touch. So I'll be honest with you, mate. They're all offside. They're all trying to hit me. So I just played for like 10 minutes, just literally did nothing, and then just walked off the pitch and was like, "Nah, mate, like I'm not risking my career for this." So anyway, I did that. That was a great experience. And then the next night, I joined the Hawaii Harlequins boys. Beautiful setting, mate. Under Diamond Head, beautiful like volcanic rock thing up on the hill.
Looks amazing.
I just played like an hour and a half of touch, mate. In 25-degree heat. But mate, Jim, that's the thing, is that's it. Is I know I'm out here having a good time in that, but mate, it's the best place for me to be, mate, because I'm out and being active. The hardest thing I'm finding is just the diet, mate, because I'm also in a hotel room with no kitchen, so I'm trying to eat. And mate, you got to remember, this is America, mate. Everything comes with them in a million for chips, man.
No. That's Hawaii, Fred. You need to get out there. If you want a wife, you need to be able to forage and be able to hunt. You need to get in the water with a spear and be hunting. There might be poisonous, there might be jellyfish that you're eating, but either way, that's the route. That's what I want to see next, because I saw you skydiving, looked amazing. Well, basically, you were strapped to someone's front. How scary,
Jim. It was 15,000 feet. It was like the highest you could go without oxygen, mate. Unbelievable.
How was the Bell's palsy on the way down,
mate? It's not the Bell's palsy, mate. It's the rubber skin. The rubber skin was like, it took me. Like, everyone else was falling twice as quick than me, mate, because I already had my parachute out the minute I jumped. It was just catching the air. I was like, everyone's flying down. I'm going real slow. But mate, I tell you what, the first time as well, I've done this my second skydive. The guy was like, "Oh, take hold of the controls." So I took the controls, and he's like, "Pull right." So I just pulled right, mate. It just dropped and like went. Oh, mate, but my luggage, mate, the I don't know what you call it, but the
teabag,
the crown jewels, mate. It was great, but man, they were screaming by the end. But it was quite good. We had a good little group, went up and did it. People will look and say that I'm out here on a jolly, which, like, to be fair, I am. But at the same time, I've signed up to a gym around the corner. But when it comes to go back round to the Leicester thing, mate, like I'm ready to go, mate. Like Leicester will benefit massively from me having the season that I've had in Japan, and also having this rest, mate, because mentally, physically, I'll be flying. So the Leicester thing, I can't wait to get back involved. Like I'm loving life right here, but there's no point me coming back and being trapped in a house in England. just trying to go out for runs on the road when I can go on a hike up a beautiful mountain here. So there you go.
100%, Fred. I don't think anyone watching this or watching your thing is anything but jealous, really, especially the situation we find ourselves into. Like you said, go back to rainy Leicester, where you'll be for the next few years, probably anyway, and not have them experiences. Man, I'm watching it, and like I messaged you, didn't I? I said I'm so jealous. I mean, it looks. I mean, what a life experience to have over there. Is there anything less for you to do there that you've thought before I come back to England? You want to experience? You want to do?
I want to go to
marry.
Yeah, I want to get married, mate. Honestly, Jim, these mate. But the worst thing, Jim, is there's like I went out yesterday, right? So I'm 11 hours behind here. I went out yesterday, Sunday evening. Mate, you just get like families out there, but they're like 10-year-old kids, right? And they will just paddle like a couple of times. They're up on the board. They're like walking to the end of the board. Like it's
what jobs are these families doing? I'm interested to know what. So your mate Kelsey out there, and what do their families work in America and they just live there? Basically, how do I get out there,
mate? So basically, what you're getting is you're getting a lot of mainland Americans come to Hawaii because of COVID and stuff. So they obviously because they just get residency over it because they're American. But Kelsey's like a nanny, so she looks after some rich families' kids.
I ain't doing that. I ain't looking after kids, mate.
But Jim, here's the thing, Jim. But here's what you get though, Jim. Is a lot of people just work remotely. So like technically what I'm doing now, I'm working remotely, isn't I? Like I'm just out. So
very true. Very true. Yes. So mate, I could definitely do that.
I know your lovely brick wall behind you has become a staple of every. It's kind of you without the wall ain't really. Do you know what I mean? It's not really
exactly. The wall is me. Podcast. The wall is me. So I'll have to bring it with me.
Oh mate, I'll just get someone to build you one out here. I'll find someone, build you a nice brick wall. But Jim, yeah, that's it. A lot of people just work remotely. It's the best thing, Jim, right? So I've moved hotel. I've literally moved across the road from I stayed in this beautiful hotel that people have seen it on the video on the Instagram. Like every night they got a little DJ playing, infinity pool, lovely food, beautiful. All I've done, mate, I've nicked a couple of beach towels of their pool towels, right? Got them with me here. And like last night, they've got a jacuzzi outside up on the roof, right, with the DJ playing. So all I do is I come back from a surf last night, and I just go down. And I go out the way that I would from my room, and I come in the back door. I just use the jacuzzi. I just been in freeloading. I think they call that, Jim. Freeloading.
Bring me a towel home, please. Bring me some of Hawaii back home with you.
I'll bring you a stick of rock.
Anything, please, anything. So, Fred, when you do land on the shores of England, which is when, so they could you got to be careful when you say exactly because there could be people waiting for you once they've watched this. But when do you get back, and what are you most looking forward to? I know you're a family man. Your mum, your brother, your dad, and brothers. Sorry, I just say brother, basically Billy, but your other brothers as well. I know you're very close with. But how looking forward to getting back are you and seeing them, and what are you most looking forward to getting back doing?
No, I am I'm looking forward to just getting back to what you know, like as in, but in all walks of life, like mate, supermarkets, like the food and stuff like that in Japan, mate, especially like a supermarket trip, it takes 3 times as long because you're Google translating what everything is, like trying to work everything out. So just getting back to what I know, obviously being close to the family would be great, but mate, I just can't wait to get back into the rugby, mate. Like, you know, I see supporters are allowed back. I'm looking forward to getting back to the rugby, getting back into it. But like I said, just trying to make the most of this experience, mate. Obviously, it'd be good to have mum around again. See mum and dad. They'll do my 8.5 to 5 minutes though, because I'll have to self-isolate with them. But mate, no, like I said, just looking forward to getting back, mate. Home's home, and you can never be returning home. So I still got what's it now, Monday. So I still got 2.5 weeks left out here, mate. So I'll come back a bit heavier, and I'll have to starve myself when I get back.
Well, Freddie, it's been class to chat to you, but also for you to share your journey, not just on social media, but obviously chatting to us here on Freddie San. That has now turned into Freddie / Hawaii San. Big thanks to Budgie Smuggler for sponsoring this series. We've seen you publishing your Budgie Smugglers out there, and you've left your mark on Japan with the Budgie Smugglers as well. If you were to give your Budgie Smugglers to anyone that you've met across the journey that have had the biggest influence on your life, I know you've got 2.5 weeks left, anyone along the journey, if they're in Hawaii, it doesn't matter. We'll give them to them. But I'm putting you on the spot here. Kelsey's obviously done you a good one. We know that the Budgie Smuggler do a women's range. It's called the Budgeettes or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Who would I give them to? Who do I give them to? I'll give a pair to. I'm gonna give. I'd have to give 3 out, mate. I'd have to give 1 to Josh Karevi, 1 to Sossi, and 1 to Sifa, because they're 3 sort of Japanese. And a guy called Tani. Literally, mate, I'll just give it to everyone. Just send over like 45 pairs, mate. Because I'll be honest with you, without sounding too cheesy, mate, it's hard to pick, because whether it's been a Japanese guy looking out for me, or someone like Gore, who I've played with well, to one of the foreign boys looking after me, like, everyone's done something for me, mate. So I just feel pretty thankful to have met the people I have, including out here in Hawaii, mate. I'm being looked after very well. So, mate, I can't pick. Just get Budgie to send me a load, and I'll just drive my convertible Ford Mustang down the boulevard in Waikiki, mate, and just lob them out at people. It's had to go back, mate. It was too expensive. I'm going to be honest.
Well, Freddie's son. Well, Freddie's son. How do you say bye in Hawaiian?
Well, I guess this is the end. Well, bye.
Bye. And then in Japanese?
Well, this is it, mate. Normally you'd say like matane, which is like see you. Like if you say sayonara, that's it forever. But I guess this is it for Freddie's son in Japan. So, Jim, for
sayonara.
Now, I believe it's sayonara, my friend.
Sayonara. 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 Sayonara.
Sayonara. I feel quite emotional, mate. Anyway, Joe, I'll text you later.
Konnichiwa. Freddie's son, Burnsy's in Japan. Time for me to go and see what life's like in Japan. Freddie's son, Burnsy's in Japan. So come on, let's go see what Burnsy's up to in Japan.